Alright, what's up guys? So this is my Barbarian from the beta, and I just want to show you the build that I came up with and um, what I found works best for me and what felt strong. I know a lot of people have said Barbarian's one of the weaker classes. I don't really, think this is a good window to judge a class's strengths on in the first 25 levels of a beta. But anyways, I'll cover that more in another video. Would appreciate it if you guys hit that subscribe button. Trying to get to 1,000 subs, almost there. Going to be pumping out a lot of D4 content, especially once the game comes out. I've got a lot of gameplay footage to upload and my thoughts and stuff. So anyways, this is my character I made in the early access beta, and so I have the most time spent on this character. This is probably not gear you will have while leveling. I killed a Shava with him. I haven't run into the Butcher. Maybe we'll get lucky and run into him in this dungeon here. That would be pretty sweet. But I've got all uniques, and they're all pretty decent. That's the gear. So let me show you the skills. That's probably a little more important as far as what the setup I've got here. So I've been using Frenzy with bonus attack speed and for the Fury, and also the damage reduction. Over here I only have double swing from a skill from an item, and I've got this, which gives it the chance to make enemies vulnerable, and I just put those points in there with this so that I could get over to this tree, further down in the tree. Don't use Rallying Cry. I found that thorns were the most effective way for me to kill things, and at least in this beta. So I've got Challenging Shout, gives you 40% damage reduction, which is really nice. While it's active, you gain 20% bonus max life, and then this is the big one, 50% of your max life is thorns. So that plus this is quite a lot of damage. And then I've got leap just for mobility, and it does okay damage. Down here I've just got extra damage for close enemies. Don't use rupture, that's from an ability. Death blow I really like. It's fun to use when you get it chaining and just massacre everything with it. I have 1 point in hamstring, and it's kind of dope because your bleed affects slow enemies by 10%, and this passive thorns with this causes all enemies that hit you take 1% of your thorns damage as bleed damage. So now anything that hits you is bleeding, and it's getting slowed by 10%, which combines with some items I have, which makes you much stronger and do a lot more damage. If I had more points, I would level this up just to have a bigger slow to stop enemies from kiting you. So now let me show you why that is so cool, that inflicts bleeding. So let's see, I've got some thorns damage here. Casting double swing twice creates a dust devil, just a little bit of extra damage. That I'm not using whirlwind right now. I've got some thorns. So stunning a bleeding enemy deals 30%. That's not really important to this build right now. Let me see, where is it? Okay, this was the one that I wanted to show you. So 8% increased dodge chance versus enemies affected by damage over time effects. When you dodge, you gain 7 of your primary resource. So that works really well with the bleed. And then also anything that gives you bonus damage to slowed enemies, which I don't know if I have anything equipped. Yeah, I got this one. So anything with bonus damage to slowed enemies, you will also be able to take advantage of that. So let me show you the build in action, and just bear with me. I haven't played this since last weekend, and it's going to take me a second to get back into it, but we'll run through this dungeon here, and I'll kind of show you how this works. So you can see you pop Challenging Shout, and everything just almost one-shots itself from hitting you.
I'm not ready yet.
And then that's the Dust Devil from casting Double Swing twice. Let me show you the fun part with Execute, and just kind of how that gets going.
Not ready yet.
So I'm not sure why it didn't hit him, if he was just out of range, but normally you can just keep chaining executes, and it gets pretty fun. So there's some that give you bonus damage. So you can see just how, I mean, my gear is probably way more than what you would typically have as you're leveling. But really, I mean, the build worked the same before I got all these uniques. All you have to do is just pop Challenging Shout, and everything dies when it hits you. So you just look at how much damage my Thorns is doing, and that is without Challenging Shout. So let me show you Challenging Shout now. Look at how much damage that elite just did to itself for this champion. I mean, everything has killed itself except for this champion, and I'm just gonna. So this is my ultimate. And you can see it just does, you know, massive damage. It basically one-shots everything on the screen. So it's pretty decent, pretty strong. I tried all the other ultimates, and this is the one that I like the most, at least for this level and for this build in the beta. I'm sure we'll be able to supercharge everything. The other really nice thing, cool thing about Barbarian is you can stack all these topaz in your arsenal. So if I could get another one-hander with a socket and 2 sockets in this, just look at how much basic skill damage you can get. I think that's one of the most important things for Barbarian, at least as you're leveling. Probably, I mean, there may be builds that can utilize the other gems at higher levels, but I don't, even then, I don't know if it's going to benefit you more than the basic skill damage. And before I got the basic skill damage, that was... But yeah, it's really nice to have the double swing. You're kind of limited by Fury. Everything I tried in terms of builds before I settled on this, you were just so limited by Fury that you couldn't really do anything. So that maybe that will improve at higher levels. But you can see how strong Execute is when you have a good two-hander. Alright, where's the... Okay, just watch this. Like, you know, I'm
Can't live anymore.
just insta killing some of that stuff with my ultimate ability there.
I'm not ready yet.
Alright, let's see what we don't want. 15% chance to be stunned. Alright. Come on, Butcher. Where you at, dog? But yeah, so like I was saying, Fury is such a limiter for you, at least. What is this?
43
Okay.
years, I have swept the floors.
Early on in the game, it's such a limiting factor, and maybe it will improve. Like maybe you'll be able to really pump into Fury generation to make some of the core skills like Whirlwind and Hammer of the Ancients and that stuff better later on. But right now it's so weak. Like my Thorns does more damage than Whirlwind or Hammer of the Ancients. Even probably my Frenzy right now.
My burden is too great.
So my challenging, the only weakness to this build is I don't have any CC break. So if I get stunned, it's a little bit of a problem, but it's not that big of a deal that I actually get concerned about it. That's actually probably an upgrade, but we're just gonna keep going. Man, come on, Butcher. And what boots do I have? Oh yeah, I think I switched out my move speed boots to these to kill Ashava. Just that extra dodge was very helpful. You know, I could probably switch out Leap and get a CC break in there. Like I could probably use Iron Skin. Would probably be good. Ground Stomp might be good. I just like Leap Slam. I mean, Charge might be good. To me, Leap Slam is just a fun ability. Like, there's a little room for improvement in this build. Like, Leap Slam is not a necessary skill. But you can see here when I get CC'd, it's like I'm a freight train until I get CC'd, and then I just lose some momentum. But it's not really that big of a deal. Like, you just stop for a second, and then I just go back to killing everything. If I can pop Challenging Shout ahead of time, just for the damage resist, that's really good.
I need more fury. I must wait.
Help, please!
But yeah, I think having the thorns with the dot, like, even if you just put a point into it, here I'll open up the It's actually so good, I'm afraid it's gonna get nerfed. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. So for 1, 2 points, and then maxing this out, you can have a 30% slow on everything that hits you, and then it'll also have the bleed debuff. So any ability or, you know, skill, item, etc. that's procced through slow, bleed, damage over time, like you're taking full advantage of that with almost 100% uptime. Another thing with the execute skill is that there are some of the weapons do bonus damage to healthy enemies, and I'm thinking it's probably going to be fairly easy to get it to where you can just one-shot like full HP enemies without like even worrying about whether or not the it's going to kill them, because you're just going to be able to one-shot everything. And it's pretty significant too. Like I think on see, this does bonus to injured, and I think it's the axes. The axes have an inherent like buff to healthy enemies. So like if you have a two-handed axe as your slashing weapon, you're doing
My burden is too great.
18. Your execute, if they're above 80% health, is going to do almost 20% more damage.
More fury.
And before I got the thorns, and also before I got all the topaz socketed items, my damage was really low, and the thorns, I've started to rely almost entirely on the thorns for damage. But once I got all the topaz, my single target and just like focus DPS from Frenzy went through the roof. I think if you're playing a Barbarian, that is going to be like priority 1, is getting a bunch of topaz and then getting a bunch of items to socket it into.
I'm out of fury. Can't live.
Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and it gives you some insight into Barbarian for when the game launches. Like I said, this was just the best build I was able to come up with in the time that I spent with the character, and what ended up being the strongest to me. I think it's a fairly solid build, and obviously gear is hugely important to a Barbarian in every game, but you know, even if this was all rare gear, some of these abilities you can craft, and I'll cover that more in another video. So if you're interested, you know, please hit that subscribe button so you can have you know, head start going into D4, unless you already played the beta, and then it just might be a refresher or some insight, something that you didn't think about. But really, this is the only thing that this legendary power, the dodge generating resource, that I don't really have like a good buff from a rare, or unique, excuse me. This, if I use my double swing a bunch, it can stack up and I get a huge... I think actually, now that I think back, this was one reason why I switched back to leap, was just because I could get a huge damage buff after spamming double swing. I'm glad I remembered that. But yep, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And remember to give them the D.